Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Columbus Local Podcast. I am Glenn D'Amico, and today it is my great pleasure to have Ty Barnes. Ty, thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you for making the time. I don't make time, but thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're a busy guy.
I've made myself a busy person, but you humble me for including me or involving me.
You're killing
And 35, halfway to 70. This is great.
It took us 6 months to get a date.
It's true.
And here it is.
It's true. On the coldest day.
That's how busy you are.
Well, that's not true. But yes, you're right. That's what I told wife. She's like, it has to be today. And I'm like, yeah, honey, but it's been on the books for months.
God bless Julie.
I know.
I have never met Julie.
I have.
I know.
I see her
How
every
long
day.
have you been married?
We will be married. On November 7th, we were married 13 years.
Congratulations.
In a row. 13 years in a row.
That's important. That's important to a guy like me.
We dated about, excuse you, we dated about 2 years before we got married, which broke the mold for me. My first marriage, we knew each other 3 months, got married. My second marriage, we knew each other 3 months, got married. This one, I held off for 2 years and then said, hey, you want to marry me?
Oh my gosh, good for you. There's
Yeah.
hope for me.
There's hope.
There's hope.
Oh, you can take,
Listen, I love Beth with all my heart and soul.
and you guys are perfect together.
Really?
But I think you're perfect as you are.
Don't tell her that. Don't
Yeah.
say that out loud.
That's what I'm going to say. Honey, I love you, but don't ruin it with marriage.
Oh, stop. Maybe that's where we are.
Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
where, yeah.
I mean, it's different. I'm old. I'm a little older than yourself.
Men of our age at this point.
Listen, we're drinking red wine. We're drinking cab.
Cabernet, yes.
Not just a bottle. We've had a couple.
We've had a couple drinks
drinks
of Cabernet.
And that's a refined beverage.
Sure.
And it's what I asked you. You could have basically whatever you wanted, and you told me I drink red wine.
Well,
Which we have a lot
I
of.
told you a lot of things, and then I said, but of course, I'll have red wine.
That's usually the one I'll go for.
And the
It's
red
last
wine
one.
I would have would be a Cabernet.
It's a beautiful thing. And
It's
it's perfect on a Tuesday evening.
It's a drier wine.
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's not as dry as the Merlots. The Merlot, I think, is or is it the other way?
I think it's
is.
the,
Cab
I think,
is.
I think
and
Cab's
then,
the driest.
And then,
right.
then it comes back.
If you
to
ever
Merlot.
saw Sideways,
We're
not drinking the Merlot.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. We're going to go cabs all the way. Yep. Let's see. What do I know? I have to.
What do
yield,
I know?
I have to yield to the experts.
They're made of grapes.
Ty Barnes is a musician based out of Columbus, Ohio. He is, I believe, a guitar player at heart. Is that accurate?
I believe that's true.
I mean, that's what I sense.
Well, that's what I've mostly done.
But we've seen you on bass.
I can also play the bass, but I'm not a bass player.
You're a guitar player.
I'm a guitar player that can play bass.
You're a songwriter.
Because I know where the notes are. I can write songs. I have written songs. I have not written in a heap long time.
I'm
which
going to
is
give
terrible.
I'm personally going to give it another shot here over the winter. Have
That's
some
great.
fun. But I love playing covers.
I do too.
It's a good fun time.
It's a fun gig.
Ty, we've seen you all over playing as the busy guy that you are. I've seen you in Cowtown Inc. with Kevin Mullins, and that's got to be a blast.
It is a total blast.
We've seen you solo,
Which
acoustic.
which is weird.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about AstroCat.
I am very excited about AstroCat.
What's going on there, man?
AstroCat is my power trio. We're going to mainly focus on kind of rock songs. We might have a couple country songs in there, but it includes Steve Conway, Steve on bass, and Mr. John Coleman, who you've met before, on drums.
Just that one time.
A titan pillar of Columbus music.
God bless John Coleman.
Oh, God, yes. And so I'll be playing guitar and singing. And
Is John going to be singing in
John is going to sing. John is going to sing also. And we had a rehearsal last night, And one of the things John said, he's like, I think of you and me as like the new Difford and Tilbrook, where you're going to sing high parts and I sing low parts. And I'm like, okay. Because that's basically how we're breaking it out.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a natural harmonization.
Right. It's where, well, it's
But that's
where
John.
but
John is he's a very regimented guy. You wouldn't think he would be, but he's pretty regimented.
See, I don't think that, but
Oh,
maybe
you don't?
No, I actually no. I
On
can
the surface, he's not.
I can see how you'd say that though.
But musically, he really is an arranger.
He gets full bore. You know, he's doing a Zappa thing, and he's doing all the arrangements, and wow, that's going to be awesome.
That's coming
It's coming.
after his eyes heal.
He's healing his eyes. It looked like someone gave him a right hook for
Okay,
the
yeah, because
longest
when
time.
you said that you had rehearsal last night, I was a little surprised because I saw the
Well-
latest picture and he was still healing.
Yeah, he still is. His left eye is a little lazy. I mean, as far as the lid, you know, he's kind of squinting. But he said he was up for it, and he was. He killed it.
Yeah, as he does.
Yeah. But hopefully he gets his eyes straightened out. So, yeah.
What else do you have going on, Ty?
Like you said, I do an acoustic solo act that is kind of new for me. Traditionally, I've always played with the singer in the band. So when I was in Taser, Scott and I would do Taser Light, and then we did 2-finger shot, because sometimes you can only handle 2 fingers instead of 4-finger shot. And with Sibling Rivalry, we do acoustic rivalry with just me and Jenna. Actually, me and Jenna and Madeline would do gigs together. But over the last year, different clubs have reached out to me and say, hey, can you do solo acoustic? And I go, well, yeah, I can. Are you sure? So I have a couple
you're
lists.
doing it.
It's funny when people ask me, what songs do you know? I'm like, I don't know. But in my iPad, I've got a whole country-oriented list with a little bit of rock in it, and I've got a whole rock list with a little country in it. And I can toggle between the two and so much more. And I've surprised myself with songs that I can, sing and play.
I've never seen you screw up, dude.
Oh, stop it. It was funny because Twyla was there at the gig last
You're
Wednesday.
talking about last Wednesday.
Yeah,
Was
last
that
Wednesday, Len came out to my show.
Well, yeah.
And she's like, oh, I can see every time you think you screw up, you make a face or you do something like that. I'm like, yeah. And that's something my wife told me, too. She's like, you broadcast your mistakes. I was like, yeah, but as long as everyone's having a good time, who cares?
I liked playing that song we played together.
We played The Joker by Mr. Steve Miller
Yeah.
because Sherry Fry asked, she's told me, she's like, you're going to play that song. I'm like, yeah, okay, but I don't know if I can play the riff and sing it. And then you were there. I'm like, hey, here's my chance.
I got your back.
It was great. And we got a
fun.
great picture out of it.
Yeah, that was a cool picture.
Yeah. Did Beth take that?
I think Bob Warner took that photo.
Really?
Because he took a whole video of the whole song and sent it
Really?
to me. Yeah, I can get that to you if you're
Please.
interested.
Yeah.
I was all crouched down. I not the most, what's the right word? Not the best pose for my persona.
I was trying to make you comfortable. I wanted to put you on a chair on the drum stand. Remember the drum
I do, but
drum riser?
I don't think my weight.
You
I don't
would've
think
felt-
I hit the weight limit
Right.
of the chair's capability. Like,
You would have felt a little
and
precarious.
if I would have crushed the chair, which I know I would have,
Oh, that would have been part of the show.
it would have. But I didn't want to like do that.
Then you could splay out and I could sing over you. Like I'm yelling at you. Some people call me the space cowboy. Get it right next time. No, I'm kidding.
Len, you suck.
That was great.
No, I had a great time, man.
And I'm sure the video is almost watchable.
It actually is. It's a very intimate performance because we were just having a good time, dude.
We were, because I sat there next to you.
Yeah, it was cool.
And the one picture, it looks like I have all sorts of muscles. It was great.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the whole video.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, I hung on the D a little too long. You kept signaling for the. I was messing with you just a little tiny bit.
I was doing woo.
And I was on the D,
Woo.
on the D,
Woo.
on the D.
We got it, though.
And you were telling me subliminally to resolve.
Like, okay.
Resolve.
Okay. Go to the next chord.
Resolve.
Right.
I was. That's what I do
You were
sometimes.
playing with
I was
me.
playing with you just a little tiny bit because I could at the time.
But you were treating me like I'm a singer, and I'm not.
You're a guitar player. at
I'm a
heart.
guitar player that can
I
sort of
finally
sing.
went to the G and resolved,
And it was,
and we got the applause.
and it was relief for the entire bar.
Thank God he resolved.
He
that
resolved
song
it.
for Ty.
They all could relax and take another
And Ms.
sip.
Fry was happy.
Yes, I think so. I don't know
So-
if she was listening the whole time.
Mr. Bob Warner
Mm-hmm.
is the father of Jerome France's wife. That was there
So
that
he's-
evening. He's a good friend of mine.
He's Jerome's father-in-law,
Yes, but that's the whole connection.
which is awesome. And you guys were there together.
Well, actually,
Two
I
separate
had no
couples.
idea that they were there. But
that's
Beth and I came to see you,
Oh, thank you.
and then when I said hello to Jerome, because it's his club, and
Because he was there pretty much the whole
pretty
night.
much the whole night he had a great Wednesday night.
I think he was checking up on me.
He's a smart.
Yeah,
smart
he's like,
businessman.
I don't know, this guy, am I
He's like,
earning
hey,
my money here?"
Bob and Connie are here, and I was like, where? He's like, over here. And so we hung out.
That was awesome.
They sold their home and they split between two different locations,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a lot going on. But we caught up and we had a great time.
That's great. And that's what it's all about. Come out to the bar, hear this acoustic music, and celebrate with friends.
Yeah, and see Ty Barnes.
Well, I'm immaterial. But evidently, I'm playing a wide enough variety of material. It's like Ohio weather. If you don't like it, just wait 5 minutes. It'll be completely different. And if you don't know that, I'll tell you on the microphone. And now for something completely different.
And it is.
Yeah, which I kind of did
Like you
that
do
by
a
design.
Ramones tune.
Yeah, well, I didn't,
and
but I
then
can.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
like you bounce from Ramones to like, I don't know, pick one.
To Kip Moore,
Yeah.
and then back to the Police, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks, man.
It's a fun time.
And Steve Miller, evidently.
I love Steve Miller.
I know. And you
I'm kind of a classic rock person at heart, but I love the blues. I love funk
yeah,
and some heavier rock as well.
I do too.
Eclectic. What other kind of music do you like, Ty?
Oh, I like all sorts. It's one of the questions.
Chanting monks.
Chanting monks.
I'm there.
Usually they're hanging outside my house. That's one of those questions you kind of can't ask a musician.
I know.
Because
Some you can.
we just like good music, which it's across the spectrum,
It is. Yeah.
But when I'm in the car, I'm listening to Liquid Metal on Sirius XM or Yacht Rock or Road Trip Radio. I'm all over the map.
Whatever's tickling your fancy.
They
at
used
the
to have
moment.
Rock Bar, but it's gone. So like Classic Rewind's okay, classic, vinyl. So I'm across the board.
Yeah.
I like what I like.
Yeah.
And I
It's all
like
good.
you. Oh wait, what?
It's the wine.
It's the wine talking.
You better. You're on notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You just watch your step.
Well, hopefully I don't get belligerent.
So we covered a lot of current. Are there more current things, current projects? I mean, like we'll see a picture of you on social media where you're road tripping to like Indianapolis or Pittsburgh.
I've had the fortunate opportunity to play in a variety of places because, like when I was with Sean Prather, we went to Pittsburgh, and that's like a 3 or 4 day gig, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, that's 2 nights. But I've done that with Tim Oliver also. It's, to me, that's great because it feels like a tour, because in Pittsburgh they set you up in a hotel, and they must do something in Fort Wayne because we always have a place to stay. But that's the thing about Astrocat. That's going to be my band. In the past, I've been the guitar player in a band or the bass player in a band, but not really the leader of the band. So Astrocat's my chance to kind of do my own thing. John Coleman came up with the name. He is a band name machine. If you need a band name, tell him. He'll give you a list of 30 things that he just randomly came up with, and one of them will be a gem.
He's tapped in.
Yeah.
He's tapped into the fabric of the universe.
But
Like some fortunate folks are.
like some are. Like so many of our Columbus musician types are. Just not human.
Who have you not played with?
Oh, probably far more than I have played with. But anyway, currently, so I'll do the acoustic stuff, and then I seem to sit in with people. I'm sitting in with Cowtown. I don't think I have any other. I'd have to look at tybarnes.com to find out. My website. I know it sounds douchey, but
No,
it's the
not
only
at all.
place. It's the only place I can keep
Consolidation.
all of my gigs. There's a shows or events or something link off of my website, and that's where everything is. When my wife's making her schedule, she's like, "What's your gig schedule?" Look at tybarnes.com. She's like, "Is your website updated?" You know, that kind of stuff.
She knows.
She knows. She's been through this. It's not her first rodeo.
No.
Yeah.
Not after the years that you described earlier.
Yes.
That's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
That's good communication.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's necessary.
It's essential.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're busy. You have all this music going on, but you're also involved in a couple of mixing and recording. You do some work with a couple of organizations. What are those?
I have my own podcast called Moving Music that I do with my friend TC. That's kind of on a hiatus right now, but at any time he could send me a cue sheet and we're up and running again. So that takes time. I've been a recording engineer or audio engineer since 1990, 91, something like that. I went to the recording workshop, started working in Amera Sound and Soundscape Studios around town. In my time doing that as a freelance engineer, I hooked up with a dance company. So actually, Lisa Dale used to do the music for this dance company. So she gave me them as a client, and I've been with them ever since. So it's the Marjorie Jones School of Dance. They've got a couple locations. Well, they have one single location now. Anyway, the point is, I've been editing music for them. So we have a winter recital coming up on my birthday, actually, on December 16th. So I'll be at a high school running music for little girls up to 18-year-old girls, and sometimes adults, all day long. So that's one thing I do. Yeah, I think that's it. The podcast I'll edit. The dance stuff I edit. I can run sound for people, but I don't. But I've thought about it. But I don't have if I need to buy a system and somewhere to store it and some way to haul it. So I'd much rather play right now than be a sound guy.
Yeah, and well, gear's getting smaller.
It is.
Like a smaller footprint.
It's true.
With more power and less weight.
Yep.
So maybe, who knows? Maybe that's a retirement opportunity.
I'm certainly doing it for myself. And when Chris Kegley and I used to do an open stage or open mic on Monday nights at Blarney Stone in Worthington.
And it was a great
and I did the sound for that, So that sound system has evolved, and now I have, since I'm doing so many acoustic gigs, I've got a little system that I can run, and I can handle quite a bit of stuff if I had to. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thanks.
Well, it all translates to Ty Barnes is probably the busiest guy around.
I know, but I'm sitting here telling you, I'm not, as far as projects, I'm just Mr. Fill-In, it seems like,
I don't know, man. We'll talk a little bit about your background. You've had some great runs with some great bands in Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you.
You
Yeah.
have. So I wouldn't say you're a fill-in guy, right? Like,
Well, I am.
You're an opportunist.
I make myself available. When you're an empty nester, you've got that capability, I guess.
Yeah, you have time.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of getting older, is that it's freed me up to play all the music that I've always wanted to play.
And you get to continue to grow.
Yeah.
When you think, when you're old, you're just gonna buy a Lazy Boy recliner, which I refuse to buy.
And sit around and just
I don't want to sit around.
Well, and that's the thing. I've always said I think I'm the guy that I hated when I was 16. I'm the 50-year-old guy that can buy any guitar he wants and play all the time. You know what I mean? I would have hated me when I was a kid.
Yeah, here you are.
And here I am, and I feel like a kid. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I am busy, because if I'm not playing with somebody, I'm preparing to play with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing with Cowtown this Saturday, so there's a whole bunch of country songs I've got to refresh. And it's funny because
You know what though? Playing with Kevin's such a sweetheart. He will help you.
yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot.
We're gonna get together. Jeff and Kevin and I are getting together tomorrow to run through a few tunes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Because I want to play them the way they play them. They do these breaks and starts and stops that I just don't know. Because I did them this way in Tailgaters, and I did them this way with Sean Prather, and I did them this way with Justin Geezy, and I did them this way with Alan Carl. So it's like, what am I? So you're right. I start talking about all these different bands, and
You're busy.
yeah, I'm a bit of a whore.
I don't know if that's the right word.
Well, I
man.
get paid for what I do, so
Well, you're allowed,
yeah,
and as you should.
right. And that, like you said, we've got the opportunity now. So
Yeah,
I
good
take it.
deal. So I think you're a non-transplant in Columbus, Ohio. You're
True.
So you were born in this area, I believe,
Yep.
in Worthington, right?
Well, I was born at Riverside Methodist Hospital.
Right up the road.
So I've been, I grew up in Worthington, and I have been here the entire time. So I lived, my first marriage, we lived in Hilliard, and then Julie and I, we've lived in Powell and Lewis Center, and now we're living in like North Columbus, but basically been here my whole life. And I started playing guitar, I always say that it's April 10th or something like that, 1984, because that was the day that my dad bought me my first good guitar. It was a Cort Stratocaster copy from Chuck Daly's guitar store at Graceland. Don't look for it. It's not there anymore. And then we went to the Fontanelle after that, and he had a couple drinks. And I think it was around, I know it was that time in April, because I think he got his tax return, so he had some money. So he could spend $250 on a Strat for me.
Well, you know what? God bless him.
Yeah.
You know,
So that was 84.
what
So
color was that guitar?
it was a two-tone Sunburst. It was like a 50s Strat, just had a different headstock because it was Cort, and it was around that time where they were, you can't do a,
no copyright infringement.
it was the lawsuit era,
Wow.
which I was oblivious to. I was 14 years old.
Did they spring for an amplifier at the same time? Maybe
I
one
don't
of those little.
think so. I can't remember what the first amp I had that was good, I think, was a Fender Sidekick, the 30-watt 112, and I think my mom got me that. That would have been 1985 from Sonny's Guitar Shop.
Cool.
And then I remember getting a Fender or a PV Classic, the 212, with the phaser built in.
It's a beast.
Oh my God! And that was $400 at Coil Music, and before they moved to Graceland. Yeah, that was a great amp. Which, in hindsight, I mean, at the time I was like, it's a PV, whatever. But it was a great amp.
They're heavy, but they're good.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had great built-in effects too
Yeah.
that were useful.
yeah. The number of guitars we've gone through. Well, you haven't.
I have. No,
But
I
have
dude.
too. Oh, my
I've,
God.
I've been selling over the years. I haven't sold in the last 3 years,
Really?
but The last batch I sold were my SGs because I never played them. I love SGs.
See,
but
I
never
can't
played 'em.
stand SGs.
Well, it's a different length
Yeah.
neck.
Well,
And
it's still Gibson. It's 24 3/4, right? So it's like a Les Paul, but it's just
there's a little, like when you get down at the first, second, third fret though, there's a little difference
yeah.
in the length of the neck.
That I just don't like the look of them.
Oh.
That's just me.
Well, and the head, and then always if you let go of your guitar,
They were neck heavy.
It kind of
They do the dive.
They do the dive, and sometimes they break.
Yeah, if you're not careful.
Man,
Yeah.
got to be careful.
Hats off to Angus Young.
So you got this guitar, you got this amp, but like, what were you listening to that inspired you to say to yourself, "I'm going to spend time on this"?
So if I was 13 or 14 years old, that's when Rat came out, and Dawkins and Motley Crue and those in Quiet Riot, all those guys. And so that's what actually the reason I started playing guitar was the guy down the street, Brett Allen, was a guitar player, and he was the coolest kid in the neighborhood. So he played guitar, so I wanted to play guitar. Anyway, but I was listening to that kind of stuff. And I learned through cassette tapes and manuals through the mail. So Metal Method by Doug Marks. That's how I learned how to play guitar. So I had like the first 4 lessons on cassette tapes. I did that for like 2 years, and then I started taking lessons with a teacher.
Who was your first instructor? Do you remember?
It was Jerry Lewis.
Oh my God.
Who's still around. He's Hurricane Jerry. He remembers me.
Yeah. Well,
And he loved me because I came in and I'm like, well, how are chords built? And he's like, extended sonorous tonalities, or whatever, and all this stuff. It was all intervals and chord structure.
He gave you the right answers.
Well, he was happy that I cared about that and was asking about that, because we had enough of our lessons where I came in and said, teach me how to play. You've got another thing coming. Because I love Judas Priest and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of stuff. I was a rocker. But Jeff Beck's Flash album, People Get Ready, he tabbed that out for me, and I learned that note for note. And anyway, I got to the point where I started asking theory questions, and I wanted to know how chords were built, and more scales than the major and minor and blues scales and all that stuff. And then again, Brett Allen went to Fort Hayes, so I wanted to go to Fort Hayes for instrumental music. So Jerry helped me. We had to audition to get into Fort Hayes' music program. So the day you go to visit Fort Hayes, you actually have to audition. So I had a guitar and all this stuff, and I had to have a classical piece and a jazz piece. So I think I did Green Sleeves for the classical, and what was it? Play Misty for Me or something like that.
Oh, cool. For jazz.
For jazz.
Wow.
And Jerry helped me work through how to play each one of them, and I got in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That was great. Yeah.
So were you into the band scene right out of the gate?
No, I think being at Fort Hayes, well, kind of, because Brett was in a band, and that's where I met Pete English, and Pete was playing drums with him. So I started playing in bands in high school. We put something together, we called it Trace Endings, for a talent show my sophomore year, I think, which would have been pre Fort Hayes. And then, but in Fort Hayes, they put you in large ensembles, small ensemble, jazz combos, things like that. So you were working with other people. And that experience really expanded my understanding of music. Because now all of a sudden I was listening to other instruments. I only cared about guitar until that point. You know what I mean? So I'm seeing that drummers are using all 4 limbs all the time, whether it's a slow song, a quiet song, a loud song. All 4 limbs all the time. And another guy at school taught me how to harmonize vocally. I never knew how to do that, and he taught me.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? And then, and I got into bands from that, with the different people at Fort Hayes and things like that through the late 80s, and I ended up getting into Easy Thrill in the early 90s.
That was your kind of your first. That was your first band.
That wasn't the first band, because I was in Fallout before that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because I was making money with Fallout, and Fallout was Mike Jackson and I. We both went to Fort Hayes, and then his friend Brian Block. And Brian went on to play with all these different bands, different cover bands. Mike's in Nashville now. But, yeah, that was, yeah.
What were your early venues in Columbus? Do you remember? Where would you guys play?
I played Apollo's when it was above where the BW3 was on campus. I did play Stashes and Little Brothers when it was way up, when it was a little tiny place. I did that with Fallout. I have played Little Brothers when it was Little Brothers. I did that with Ukulele Man. I guess just with the Ukulele Man, because we would do the Elvis-a-thon and the Replacements-a-thon, and they'd have them there. And so I've played all those different places. I've never played the Newport. I've only played, I mean, when the school took us around too, and we played different places. We played Mershon and Veterans Memorial.
Those are big.
Yeah, the Veterans Memorial was a huge, a huge stage and all that stuff.
Oh, Ukulele Man, what a special human being.
He was incredible.
Yeah, I know he meant something to you.
He ended up being like a father figure to me. And he was for so many people. He was an English teacher, and he ended up in Circleville, and he taught so many people. And he would bring his ukulele, and he'd integrate it into his learning. And I don't think I appreciated him enough before he died. He died in 2017.
Yeah.
But, I mean, maybe I did. But I played bass with him, because Pete, that's how I found Pete English, because Pete was playing guitar. I'm like, what are you doing playing guitar? You're a drummer. So there's Pete on guitar, and I'm a guitar player playing bass and whatever. We're supporting a guy on a ukulele. But
it worked.
And it was like 2003, I think, I first played with, because Dan Saygraves usually played bass with him, but there was times where he was busy doing other things, because he's incredible. I don't know if you know who he is. A lot of stand-up. He's incredible. So I started playing bass with Ukulele Man, and then he and I just bonded. And I told him at some point, I'm like, you and I could just do ukulele and bass, because I know your songs, and if you don't, it's a hard thing to get 5 or 6 people together. We had, Bob Starker would play sax, and Bob Height would play trumpet and accordion and slide whistle, and John Dilgard would do harp, and Karen Green would play drums or trombone, and you know what I mean? We had this eclectic group, and we did the Arts Festival and ComFest and all over the place.
Yeah.
But then Tom and I started doing things together, and I called it 8 Strings of Fury, his 4-string ukulele and my bass. And he wrote such amazing songs, and again, I don't think I appreciated it enough when I was doing it, but
yeah, but it's fond.
Oh, it's tremendous
foundational
memories.
Stuff.
And there's YouTube videos and all sorts of stuff out there.
Victoria Midnight Cafe.
Yes.
I mean, that's a whole scene of itself.
Yes.
I actually played that venue
a
lot. Which became Shrunken Head.
Shrunken Head.
It's turned over since.
Yeah, because it turned into like a metal club, right?
During Shrunken Head days or
during
post?
Shrunken Head.
Yeah.
So Nick Mangano,
Yep.
he ran sound for us at Shrunken Head, and that he said that we were one of the first people he ever ran sound for. And he's running sound for all sorts of people now. He's great. But I remember we would do a happy hour gig. That was when it was Tom and Karen and John and I, and we were trying times. And we did mostly blues and experimental weird stuff. And we would set up and play happy hour stuff, and then all these metal bands would come in. It was hysterical.
It did become, because that scene didn't have a lot of venues.
Right.
And Shrunken Head was open enough
to original
if you're
music.
Going to bring a crowd and you're going to be a part of our.
If you're going to sell alcohol, come on in.
Come on in.
Yeah.
they made I forget Christy and her husband. Her husband was a German dude.
Yeah.
That made the best schnitzel in Columbus.
Really?
That was not a very well-known thing.
I didn't know that.
But
Because they always had food, and it was so good.
God. The schnitzel, though, man.
Wow, I had no idea.
Who would have known? And the kitchen was the size of this table.
Yeah, it was tiny.
My beard noise
I'm
is
just
as loud as yours.
I'm just rubbing it.
Oh,
Sorry, dear listener.
here we go.
Right. And now, what's that called? ESM, whatever the quiet noises.
You know what? It's probably going to get whacked.
Yeah,
with
we're going to get tagged.
Button.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see what
true. Never
happens.
mind. Maybe you don't enhance.
So
this
where
one.
did you? So you that those are all fun scenes, you know.
Yeah.
Victorian Village, and hitting some of these events that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But eventually, you broke through into like popular cover band scene.
So
right?
that was more
How'd
like
you get into that?
that was around 2008. There was. It's always about a girl, right?
Usually,
There was someone that I dated who hit me up. She's like, "You're a guitar player, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, you should meet my friend John Brown. He's a singer and he's looking for a guitar player." And I said, "Okay." And so that was 2008. 2008, it was around the time that I met Julie too. So I met Julie in May, and in June I meet this John Brown, which is how I met Iselle Underdown and a couple other people, and it progressed from there. So we started playing, we were called Failure to Communicate, and we played all these tunes. And I had not played guitar in a band since the mid-90s. I played with Eric Nesda a little bit in the 90s, but basically through the 80s, Fort Hayes and then Easy Thrill was a original hard rock band. After that, I was a dad, and, taking people
living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just maintaining a house. And I wrote some music during that time, but not much. And then divorce happens, and
Life happens.
Yeah,
your
divorce.
career,
You work,
divorce
and then you
again.
get fired, and then it's like, what happened here?
I know, man.
And babies are growing, and all this stuff.
All these people keep showing up.
And then all of a sudden, 2008 comes along, and I get drawn into playing music again. And so I'm scrambling to have a working rig and all that stuff, And I built a really good relationship with Iselle, and I'm like, I want to play with you, dude. So that's how Taser came about, because he knew a drummer and bass player that were looking for a band. He had a singer, Scott Keaton, and next thing you know, we have Taser.
That's a fun band.
And it just evolved. Yep. And, sibling rivalry came out of that, because the drummer, James, knew Madeline, and yeah.
And that was the whole Hilliard scene was its own scene.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys there were a couple bands in that area, but Taser was, how long did that band run?
Taser
It had
ran
a good run.
We got together in the end of 2008. So from 2009 until maybe like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Then Siblings started in 2010, and we went till 2014, but during that time, Taser ended and Four Finger Shot started, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Headbangers.
Four Finger became really a dude's testosterone.
Four Finger Shot became a brotherhood.
Boom. Yes.
I don't think I've ever
What
had.
a great show that was.
I don't think I've ever had a bond with other musicians like I had with those guys. Scott and I played in Taser. Ken Shepard and I were in a band called Recoil with Tom Corsi and Steve Hunt that fizzled. But Ken's like, we got to play together. So when Scott moved back to Columbus, I'm like, hey, here's Scott. And he's like, let's call Doug Nelson. And boom, Four Finger Shot. And I think when we were coming up with band names, Ken's like, what about Two Finger Shot? Because most shots, you do two fingers and filled up. I'm like, well, there's four of us. What about a Four Finger Shot? He's like, I like it. I'm like, that'd be deeper. Plus, how much could you take? Yeah.
Come
You know, 2 fingers. And like, how about 4? You know, so
All right, but I dug that logo. Who came up with the logo?
I think we talked about it, but Travis Blank, who was dating Madeline at the time, he's an artist. So I said, could you come up with a logo?
Natural.
He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he did the fingers with the shot glass in the middle.
It was ingenious.
Yeah,
it was,
it was
sweet.
great.
I'm like, how does this stuff happen?
It just happens.
I know.
You got it. It's who you know. Networking is everything. What you've learned in the business world is also applies to the personal life. You know, and especially in the music industry, especially in Columbus, where we're it's a tight knit community, and we're very, you know, everyone plays with each other, incestuous I call it, but it's true. And you know artists, and you know photographers, and you know the bar owners, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you make all of that part of the community. The only reason the bands exist is because somebody supports bringing them in, and that band has, I believe, a responsibility to be a part of the community, to bring their friends, spend money, generate what keeps that venue alive.
And also, that's what I've come to learn in my time is that you are an employee of the bar, so you need to promote the bar and draw people in and keep people and remind them of the specials, who the bartender and the bar staff is.
Yep.
And that's important stuff.
Yep, totally.
And almost to the point where the band doesn't matter. It's just that you're a band, but you're there helping the bar sell alcohol.
You're an augmented piece
Or sell food.
of that mini scene that's occurring, where you're generating a vibe that hopefully is a great time for everyone.
That's the whole goal. We're here to
Connection.
entertain. And that's my whole thing. Because you've seen me on stage. I can be a Muppet. But I'm doing it, and I started that with Ukulele Man. And people was like, oh, I love watching you play. You're having so much fun, and you're smiling, and you're, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm just going with the music. And I've just carried that on. And then in the bands, I'm like, okay, if we're going to rock on this, we start left, move right. So ready, 1, 2, and we'll, you know what I mean? So we be coordinated on stage. But it's entertainment. And as much as we want to showboat and play all the right notes and look at me kind of guitar solos and whatever, it all comes down to you're just an entertainer at the bar to sell alcohol, sell food, sell lottery, sell the things they've got, and keep people in seats and bring people in.
And making those connections.
And have fun and entertain people.
Yeah. It's about, at the end of the day, it's fun and connections.
That's all it is.
You know, and honing your craft, doing the best you can.
Yeah.
Delivering the best product you can muster.
That's what we do.
Absolutely.
That's what I do.
Well, of course.
And that's what Astrocat's going to do.
Absolutely. So we've seen some teasers, Ty, about Astrocat. We got a little insight on what that's all about. But are you allowed to talk about, you know, where you guys are going to probably be playing and
At this point,
where your first gig might land?
At
where
this
we might...
point, we're looking at February 20-something, 4th or 7th or something like that.
In 2024?
In 2024 at Fenders.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I have 2 Fenders gigs in the books right now, but we're diligently trying to get more gigs. And this is a band that I want to gig us maybe 2 shows a month. You know, not too
burnout,
no
not
oversaturation.
saturate,
Yeah. And that's what wife said. She's like, 2 times a month. I'm like, all right, honey. And, you know, summertime's going to pick up because there's, you know, Sunday opportunities and Thursday opportunities, whatever, and bike nights and things like that. But on the whole, if I get this band booked, you know, 2 times a month for 12 months, I'd be happy. So
Sure. Well, I mean, most bands like that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of working
I think the other
schedule.
guys are happy with that because John's in a couple other things. I think Steve's a little open right now, but you know,
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
that's what I want to do. Just control my world.
Well, and it's 2 guys that I think, you know, will really work well with your style and your,
Yeah.
blended skill sets. I
But,
mean,
yeah,
I can imagine what that's like. I know what it's like to jam with John Coleman.
Yeah.
And, I feel everything he does, and it's fun.
Because he's very in tune to what's going on.
That's what I was going to say.
Like you said, he gets way into it.
Oh, yeah.
And
that is what I appreciate about, especially somebody at the Kit, is the depth of experience, but his natural tenacity to get right into the utmost detail of studying a song,
And
one song at a time.
And he doesn't overplay. He serves the song so well.
God.
And he
That's
sings
his mantra.
so well.
He does.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, just the plethora of types of projects that he has done in his what a jewel to have.
Yeah, I'm honored and humbled to have that opportunity with John.
Well, and Steve too, right?
Yeah.
Steve stands a pillar on his own.
He does. He's a phenomenal bass player.
Yeah.
So
the three of you guys coming together, I can't wait to see
gonna be-
Astrocat.
yeah, we can all sing and we all play, and we're just gonna do songs that we can do, but we want to do enough stuff that's popular that everybody loves. So, and try to make it entertaining. That's my whole point.
Yeah. And speaking of entertaining, and you can tell me we're not going to talk about this, but but there's even a page on Facebook that Ty Barnes is impressed.
It's still there.
It's still there. If you go through the posts that were done, there's a lot of different people in the music scene that would react and comment on the posts of Ty Barnes is impressed. What incarnation is that all about?
I had nothing to do with it. I believe that Jimmy King, J.P. Benz, and Dennis Kelly may have something to do with it.
Those names keep coming up from time to time.
These are mischief makers in Columbus. One day, there was the Olympic girl that won an award, and they caught a photo of her going like that or something, or, turning her mouth up and looking a little disappointed. So they superimposed one of my performance pictures of me going, and they say Ty Barnes is impressed, even though What's-Her-Face isn't impressed.
Not.
And it just snowballed from there.
Oh, it spun out of control.
Yes. So they make their own memes, and they put my picture in with my mouth wide open and my silly face, wide-eyed and open-mouthed. Hear that, girls?
Impressed.
Yeah. Looking impressed.
Impressed.
Yes. Like, wow.
And it still crops up from time to time.
And it crops up from time to time. And I don't know that anyone's posting anything on it, but it's still there. Nothing on Facebook ever dies.
Let's hope not.
Well, it's
because there's a lot of good
it's just
history.
a fact,
there.
yeah.
All right. Well, so with that, episode 35 with Ty Barnes.
Halfway to 70.
That that is really cool.
Bring me back for episode 70.
That's a deal.
Does that work?
That's a deal, and at this pace, that'll be February of 2024.
I think you're right.
Astrocat gig.
This thing is blowing up.
Well, it's fun. It's fun. This is all fun, man.
Well,
but honestly, it's for the love of the community of Columbus, Ohio music.
And it's extremely valuable. Len, thank you for doing this.
Oh, dude. It's
Seriously.
my pleasure to do this.
I'm humbled and honored to participate.
Oh, come on, man.
Seriously, you must have a really high opinion of me.
I do. I always have.
I hope you've asked the questions you wanted to know.
Well, I have.
Okay, good.
I have. Especially with the 5-hour pregame with all the bottles of cab that we blew through.
Yeah, a bottle an hour.
Maybe we'll get you out of here at a reasonable hour. But nonetheless, we do appreciate your time, Ty.
Thank you, Len.
And looking forward to Astrocat and everything that comes with it.
And Ty Barnes Acoustic and Ty Barnes sitting in with Cowtown and
wherever we see
Whoever
you
else I
on
sit in with,
stage.
yeah.
And now we know a little bit more about you.
Or you just go to tybarnes.com and find out.
All right, y'all. And you heard that from him. And we're going to have some links in the description of the episode that Ty selects.
Oh,
Sounds
really?
Sounds like tybarnes.com is the place to be.
And Pornhub's okay, right? Or, no?
It is. Let's not. Well, you can say whatever you want about the Pornhub.
No, I'm only kidding. I don't
page that you have.
I
out
don't
there.
have a page out there. I swear.
It's on YouPorn, isn't it?
Right. You'd have to look at
It's
YouPorn.
more
Anyway.
amateur. That has the historic material. on
Right.
it.
Yeah, exactly. The Ty Barnes is impressed page
Oh, jeez.
section. There's a few videos. What? Anyway.
Episode 35, halfway to 70. We'll see you at episode 70, Ty.
All right, man.
Maybe we'll have more road stories that we didn't tap into.
Let's only hope.
Episode 35, Columbus Local Podcast. Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.